Hey, it's Chris. What are we talking about today? Crowdfunding roundup. He's losing his voice. It's going to be a great video. Board games. What's new on crowdfunding this week? A couple big names. One by the name of Cyberpunk. The other by the name of Ra. And another big one this past week, if you missed it, Mass Effect, the board game. My review. A little bit of playthrough. A little bit of rules messed up. I know! I marked it though in the video, and I knew that I did it wrong right after, because sometimes when you turn this camera on, the rules that stick in your head and sometimes the rules that when you're trying to explain it, right? Like, it's more difficult than it appears, folks. Truth be told. That being said, that's why I went through a triple check time and, put those comments in there. That's not why you're here though. But, by the way, that is a freaking good game, Mass Effect. Just putting that out there, right? Was really impressed by it. What's new, though? What's going on? What do you need to know? Let's do it. So we have to start out with Cyberpunk here, 2077 from Go On Board. You may know them from the previous Witcher games. This page is a little bit funky, truth be told, at the beginning. The other thing that I mentioned last weekend on my video talking about the upcoming crowdfunding campaign section was I said, you know what? There's like no videos out. And so there was an embargo, and there are literally like 8 videos that have popped up since the launch of the campaign right at that day from everybody that you may want to see a video from. At the same time, there are 0 videos on the page that aren't from Go On Board. So I guess that always begs the question, right? Like, why don't you have some of these videos directly linked? Even the quotes that are on the page, there's no videos linked from those people. So that's just weird to me. It's raising $2.5 million. It's Go On Board. It's Cyberpunk. Great track record in terms of stuff that people have liked. Huge IP following on the video game side of things. The problem is, on this page, after you're just looking at the page, quotes, commentary about the product, pictures galore, it has 0 information on how this game is actually going to play, unfortunately. Even when you go over here to the Board Game Geek page, for example, this is the description. There are no mechanics even listed here. So that's my issue, right? I had to actually go over to the video section here and peruse these to even know, what is this doing? Oh, there's a playthrough. There's a sort of review. There's a couple previews. There's another Let's Play. Action tabletop game. So I clicked on this one, as you can see, right above my head right now. And it was telling me it's a real-time game because I saw a quote from them on the page. I didn't get that anywhere else unless I looked at one of these Godzooks other ones from Go On Board, which is great, but you're going to really have to watch a 20, 30, or 50-minute video in order to get a sense of kind of where things are at. And that's okay, but why isn't any of that stuff laid out on here? I want to know what's going on, not the exclusives, not the stretch goals, not the huge massive tanks and mechs miniature-wise you're putting there. That's what I'm missing. I'm missing any of that, right? Straight from the get-go, I'm getting a list after list after scenario after mission-based situations. You can get a mug, you can get a plushie, you can get a metal poster. Fantastic. I have nothing wrong if people want to buy that on here. But I have 0 information on how to play, right? Components. Well, how to destroy it? Well, the campaign, and you link through several of these, and that's good. And they tell you the length of each of them. What are the mechanics right now? Have you seen anything like that? No, I haven't either. So you're going to have to watch videos. And again, I have no problem if your video is your preferred format to learn things. I have no problem if you just prefer watching videos in general. You're watching this. But my problem is that you're not offering anything else more descriptive. And I watched the gameplay video right down here from Go On Board so far, and it's giving you like we've played it, we know what we're doing, we're explaining things, but not necessarily in the order that makes the most sense to me. So you're probably going to have to go back over here, click on Board Game Geek. You're probably going to have to click on one of the videos that's more than, 10 or 15 minutes to actually get a better sense of what this game is doing, like a before you play 30 to 40 minute video. And if you give 50 minutes worth of video time, you can go down here and figure out where that one is from Go On Board and look at it. But I've scrolled down through the whole page, and you just saw there's nothing there. There's a bunch of quotes right here, but there's nothing to click on them for, and there's nothing. So I know the individual updates they've put out prior to the campaign have all of those videos that I just showed you on Board Game Geek. And, that's fine. but I need something more concrete on the page. There are videos that have been out for 3 months on some of this stuff. So it's just weird not to have any of that easily or more easily accessible on the campaign page. So that just boggles my mind in that sense. As a non-reviewer, taking my reviewer hat off, as a consumer backer, my first question always in this situation is, why is this not on the page? Because me spending triple digits, I want to have all the information. Now, again, part of it is on you as the backer being smart and savvy and going and looking at that stuff. At the same time, I have to ask the question to play a devil's advocate. If you're going to spend the time, money, and effort to send out all these prototypes and only have quotes on the page, what was the point? Right? Because some of those quotes, a video title or two, definitely are best game ever, sort of situations, and that's fine. But why isn't it on the page? That'd be my question. This is the no fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the no FUD zone that I talked about earlier in the year that we saw on the cryptocurrency bro side of things, right? You can't have any doubt whatsoever. And that, well, one, it kind of irritates me. Two, it kind of just makes me go, why not? Why not? Because one of the best things for a game is, this is who's not going to like it. Or these are the main mechanics. Did you know it's a card-driven dice aspects, upgradable tech sort of situation in a real-time explorative sort of crawl vibe-esque? Well, no, you didn't, because none of this on the page, except for if you're getting that from some of these pictures like here, right? As a cooperative style of things, because, there's just not any of it on here. And I don't want to be scrolling through the 20 updates, and I love the fact that you've updated so much, but 20 updates already 2 days into the campaign to find some of this stuff. I'm willing to wait. And I guess that's the big comment, criticism, or other concern I have. The other big one with The Witcher, which is this is more like the old world, is that as one of the quotes says down below, I'm not going to pick it out or, point out who it was, but there was one of the quotes that stood out to me that said, "I can't wait to play the full game," which tells me that this game is not anywhere near completion. And that was my big problem with The Witcher when I played it. I said, you gave me the competitive mode. I don't have a clue what the co-op mode's going to do. I don't have a clue what the solo mode is going to do. I don't have a clue what any of the expansions are going to add. You haven't finished working on any of the expansions to even be able to show me, tell me, or do anything during the campaign. And from what people have overwhelmingly said in the comment section, not putting my own opinion here, that you sort of need some of the other expansion stuff or even the old world stretch goal box to get the full extent of the game in the first place, which is not what I want to see. If you want to give me extra good stuff, sure, but I don't want to get an incomplete core game requiring me to buy something that may be GameFound Kickstarter exclusive or might require one of these other additional whatever little expansions, right? Because it's coming. This section right here, add-ons, game expansions. Oh, 1V, that's the pre-order follow sort of thing on GameFound, which means there's more coming. There's also no rulebook. No freaking rulebook. That was the other issue. No rulebook during that campaign. I didn't have the full rulebook on those other things and modes I just talked about with the old world. So that'd be a must right now. For this, for Awakened Realms, again, clearly there's a rulebook out there. You clearly have a rulebook to go off for your own gameplay video. So why is that not on the page? I don't care if you're raising $2.5 million. I don't care if you're raising $2,500. I want a rulebook. There's no excuse not to have one now on day one, period. I'm sorry. Because again, if you're going to shout at me in the comment section below that you're a video learner, well, guess what? Some of us are not video learners and we want written. And so it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. You shouldn't have one without the other. So that's what I'll say. Did that rhyme? Anyway, Cyberpunk, there you go. And you know what, truth be told, by the end of the campaign, in 2 weeks, I'll put out a Should You Back. And I'll have watched all the gameplay video. I'll have watched a whole bunch of everything else. And hopefully we'll have a rule book so I can say more definitively, where do you put your money? How sure should you be? Because that's what I like to do. So then we're going over 25th Century Games and Ra. Boom shakalaka Pharaoh Edition. And they're also offering an acrylic edition. I didn't know there was an acrylic edition. I kind of want the acrylic edition now, Chad. Anyway, Ra. Giving you more of the Pharaoh Edition, the one that's not at retail, and then also giving you the acrylic edition, giving you the roll and write, and giving you a revamped Ratzia. I think it's revamped. And so Ratzia is like a streamlined, slightly thematic, slightly different scoring version of Ra, which begs my question, like, I don't need Ra to be any more streamlined as an auction bidding tile placement style game. It's perfect the way it is. And that is ultimately where the next question has to be raised. Do I need to improve on perfection with traders, with offering a different set of tiles that you're going to be acquiring that'll give you goods that'll score an automatic point per round at the end of the round after it ends? And then the Ron, right, is a 3-card system where the starting player, or the active player, I guess I should say, draws 3 cards. They choose one of the 3 cards. All the other players have to choose among between the other 2 cards. You can choose the same one as someone else as long as you're not the active player, which one they want to do your combo building set collection style of point scoring. That's it. Those are your 3 games on here. Is it a beautiful game? Yes. Do I think everyone should own it, or I've played it, in a collection, or starting a collection, or figuring out what they should or should not buy and own and things like that? Absolutely. If you missed my review the first time this came out, this is a freaking sweet game. This is a top 25 game for me all time, period. This is a never leave my collection, play with anyone at any point, anytime, anywhere sort of game as well. And they deluxeified it, but don't make it difficult to get to the table. I'm looking at you, Castles of Burgundy Deluxe, so that you can do that sort of thing. The only question is, again, if you have the retail, you're going to buy the retail. If you have the Pharaoh Edition, you're going to need the Pharaoh Edition of this. That being said, it's only $20 for the Pharaoh Edition expansion because you want them to match. But I'd make the argument again, do I need it? And I'll be on the fence with this one just with you, because I'm not sure I need it. I'm not sure. And the Raw and Right, again, my other concern is with Raw roll and rights is that when they're based off of other games in the first place, rather than solely designed from the ground up, I feel like they're not going to miss the mark, but they just don't capture the same elegance as a game that was designed from the ground up in the first place, like Ra in this sense, right? Like, you designed Ra first. You didn't design Ra as, I need it to mimic this mechanism, right? And so that's my issue, is you're trying to adapt mechanisms that maybe don't adapt as well, or dynamics, and I just don't know. You're hit or miss with these style of games, with the track record of other games that are similar. So that's just what you have to ask yourself. And you know what? I'll make the argument that $20 is probably going to be a better price than whatever you're going to find this on the secondary market for, especially with the 5th player and the wooden aspects of things. Although, you know what? I don't know if I like acrylic now. Never mind. I stand by my original that I like the wood version better. So there's a bunch of content on here, previews, and just stuff talking from 25th century. I don't see the reason for a playmat with this. It's nice, but it adds no value in terms of actual gameplay. Like, at least in the Marvel United playmat, which I have my cart right now on Game Nerds or one of those other websites, that it offers a physical location for me to be able to place things. This is just a nice playmat that if you don't have another playmat already on your board game table to do, or a topper or something, right? $10, so it's gonna be $30. It's probably still going to be a slightly better price. It's going to be close to make it or break it, but you back it because it's probably also a 25th century small indie publisher side of things. So there you go. That is Ra, and everything goes along with it. They say the old, rhyme, second is the best, third is I don't know what third is, but I'm talking about Spooktacular because I love level 99 games, and this looks like just another game right up my alley. Spooktacular here. Again, it's only about 2/3 of the way funded at the time of me filming this, so, go tell them that Liege sent you and go look at it and consider backing it, right? Anyway, simping over, what this game is doing is it's taking a turn-by-turn basis with asymmetric, unique monsters that you're going to be slowly spooking, scaring, and devouring little human meeples throughout the board as you're haunting them, trying to get the most points, up to 50, in order to win. And you're going to be using a card-driven action combo system in order to do several things that I just mentioned, of moving, adding guests, spooking them, devouring them, or using your own asymmetric abilities in order to maximize any of those said actions previously. You play cards, you redraw up, you rinse and repeat. You're going to be devouring them, of literally devouring them, putting in your devour pile, and you get one of all the colors. You get sort of your rainbow smorgasbord, get a ticket that's worth a bunch of points at the end of the game. Or you then spook them out of rooms and they all go fleeing, one out per door per room, and you score points that way. Game ends when someone hits 50, or you run out of said tickets from devouring to do so in the first place. And it's a lighter style game. It's not going to be for everybody. Spook, abilities, devour, I said all that stuff right there. It's unique. It's asymmetric. I think there's 20 of these different monsters. So there are 3 different levels of complexity: the beginners, the mediums, and the super. You're already knowing everything else in this game, so you should use this guy because there's really freaking cool monsters. And the only question, again, that I said last weekend was, why am I going to get it on crowdfunding? Because, that's the make it or break it nowadays than anything else. And what's going to be the issue or not from here? And what you're getting here is essentially a little bit of extra. In case you missed my other news video from, I think, last month, talking about the 99 Heroes version of sort of level 99's equivalent to Marvel's Snap, or that style of game. And that's what you were getting here. And at the higher levels, you're not only getting additional of that, but you're getting playing cards and a playmat. So, I mean, that's the question, right? Like, I'm getting stuff that I maybe want versus stuff that I really do want. And I like the wooden meeples here of the figurines. I like these. And at first I thought it was all just these guys, but no, I mean, those are cool. This is my aesthetic. This is my vibe. You know, I'm Team Standee, Team Meeple. I'm not Team Miniature. So I love that. And the price point's probably reflective of that, to be truthful about it, because, you know, there is a little bit of a price component that goes to that, but I like that aesthetic better. If you missed my video from yesterday as well, I talked about one of my other favorite underrated games of all time, of the year, of the century, if you will, of this one behind me, of Keep the Heroes Freaking Out. And it uses awesome little meeples there as well. That'd be the question. So do you want some of this extra stuff? And the honest answer sometimes is no. And so that's just the, you know, sort of roll of the dice, if you will, of, is this going to be cheaper somewhere else in the future? Retail 55 plus shipping. I mean, it says MSRP of 70, but 55 plus whatever shipping is going to be down here. If we scroll down, I mean, that's, you know, still going to be $70. So do you think the regular edition of this is going to be $70 that you have to ask yourself, or is $70, including one of those 99 Heroes sort of things, going to be appeasing for you enough with the, you know, backing a small company? That's what you got to look at, and that's what you got to figure out. So I actually want to get my hands on some of the 99 Heroes things. So hopefully I'll have something in the near future to be able to talk to you about that from a more closely sense. Again, you know, I'll say though, I don't see as much on this page too, because I'm pretty sure there were videos on this as well. And again, if you hop over to Board Game Geek, because I'm going to try and be, you know, fair on both of these, there are a couple videos over here from One Stop Co-op Shop. It's a tongue twister. It takes me 2 or 3 takes every time to say that. A more detailed how to play, and then a couple previews as well. So again, you can check that out if you want to. I love their stuff. So, you know, again, it's, you know, going to be a little bit of a tougher value sell on crowdfunding. I have no doubt that it's going to fund. It's just whether or not, or where you're going to pick it up. So that's more of the dilemma, rather than am I going to pick it up? It's going to end up in my collection somehow, some way, at some point. So there you go. Spooktacular. Kickstarter. Stop it. You're drunk again. Truth be told, I looked at this and I said, oh, this looks like a board game. It looks like a card game. Counterpart, Artefact, and Bob. Bucket of Bolts. And then they're actually story-based games that are actually RPGs with a will of their own. You can play them solo, as they're mainly initially designed, but then they were redone, they say, completely in order to make it smoother, simpler, more flexible, and being able to play with a group. 126 sized jumbo cards with evocative prompts, oddball lists, and featuring a unique illustration. So you want to play quicker, there's rules on the setup cards. Just open the box and start playing. So a moment that defined an object's time with that person, how long you're waiting, and that's all of that stuff. And Shut Up and Sit Down loved it when it came out originally. This is their vibe all over the place. You know, they love these social games. So if you like their style of things and their taste, this one might be up your ilk. But I thought I'd just highlight it because it's almost got $100,000 too, and it's a small indie thing. So, you know, though it's not the usual stuff, there you go. That was a freebie, I guess is what I'm saying. But next up is Moon Bunny. Again, $75,000 for Moon Bunny, right? Again, I actually love the idea of this. It's probably not for me gameplay wise, but I think this would actually be a relatively unique family game, and that sort of weight style is a 30-minute 1 to 4 player game, because essentially what you can see here is you have a grid of tiles that you're going to be slowly moving your bunny across, hopping in various directions, ways, and distances in order to then grab those tiles, put them on your own set collection, pattern building, and then score points, score combos, or even take extra turns or complete recipes, depending on how you surround and how you pattern match them. Because essentially you have 2 bunnies, one of which is going to be moving 3 spaces orthogonally. That's your slow bunny. That's me. I'm slow. Or you have your dashing bunny. I'm not dashing. And that can move as far as you want orthogonally in one way. But you can loop around too, so if you go off of one end, it loops back around to the other side. You grab the tile, you put it down in front of you, and create your pattern matching in that sense. You're going to have recipes that are also going to be tiles. And if you surround them or surround them correctly, you can get bonuses, victory points, combos, additional turns, things like that. There's also going to be mooncakes, I believe they say. Mooncakes are the thing that allows you to swap out one bunny for the other. And then you also have a storage where if you grab a tile that you cannot use this exact turn in a good way, you can put one of them into storage at any point and then use that as a free action on another later turn in order to put it down when it's more appropriate. Does that sound good? Overview, previews, rulebook, previews. Why back now? Well, collector's edition with a Kickstarter exclusive squishy and maybe a little box cover as well too. So yeah, I mean, it's small indie and take it for what you will. And that's going to be the reason you're going to get it more than anything else from the people who brought you Steam up. So there you go. It's going to be $20 shipped in North America, though. It's not inexpensive, but it's about the same for most of you, averaged out in euro as well. So what is the game price, though? I didn't actually see that. Ooh, $40. Okay, pre-stretch standard. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, 63. But what are those stretch goals? I didn't even see those stretch goals. I don't really look at it as a gold foiled design cover as a real good incentive to do that. So let's see, upgrades, acrylic. Now, acrylic for $63. That's not bad, but that's also, you know, approaching $85 potentially for a lighter style game, which are you interested in playing a lighter style game for that price? If it gets played, who cares how much it costs if you get the gameplay out of it? But if you're doing it and you can't get it played, or you're doing it and it's going to sit on the shelf and collect dust, that's an expensive filler when I can go buy a similar filler, tile laying or card-esque vibe for, you know, 12. So that'd be my comparison point. But it all matters on whether or not you can do that and get it played rather than actual price point. Because chances are, again, if you're watching this video and you were watching the beginning and you were looking at buying Cyberpunk, price is not the big concern right now as a whole. So Tabletop Simulator, Rulebook is on there, games for you, event calendar, shipping, blah, blah, blah. So that is it. A few extra videos at the bottom. And there you go. It's got 75 grand already. Killing it for bunnies on the moon. Next up, we're talking about 7 secret supervillains. Now, truth be told, it's at 40% of the way funded, $10,000. It's all AI art. So take that for what you will. I know some of you are going to feel strongly one way or the other, but it's deck builder, deck constructor. And so essentially what you're doing is you're trying to get 4 of the 7 supervillains in different colors that are going to be available in the central market. And a la your usual deck builders, you're going to be spending your cards to buy more cards in order to upgrades and get them out, which will cause passive abilities on every single turn since they're out, or additional minions, or even other aspects of things that you can slowly buy in order to slowly combo and create things. $40 is going to be a base game, 2 expansions, and a 4-player pack. Otherwise, the base game itself is 2 players as a whole. Those are the main aspects of the game. You're really going to have to watch the video to get any more sort of details, but you're going to be gathering these minions, gathering the upgrades, and winning over these supervillains via your minions. Because what you're going to be doing on a turn-by-turn basis is buying these cards for the cost of the upper right-hand corner from the market, and then using them for either the power on the left-hand side here or the ability down here. You use one or the other in order to do whatever you need to do. And again, starter bots, different bosses, the expansions add a little bit more, a little bit of balancing here with these extra cards that are going to be available to balance out, you know, player turn order, if you will. The expansions just giving you additional villain cards and a 4th player pack, like I mentioned. And that's pretty much everything on the page. A few stretch goals down here to add a little bit of extra stuff. But there you go. And there's the disclaimer about AI. So there you go. Thought I'd talk about it, mention it. It's 7 secret supervillains. We'll see where it goes. Sky Painters, $10,000. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a dice drafting, card-driven, sort of tile-esque matching, resource management. Buy 5 tiles, make a 3x3 grid. First one to that, or when the deck ends, you win. I kind of, don't like some of this text. It's a little bit blurry in terms of trying to read. It just kind of smudges together. So we're taking one of 4 main actions on a turn-by-turn basis, gathering your cards, tiles, clouds, or spot tokens. And spot tokens in the sense that each of these cards, or tiles-ish, whatever you want to call them, are that you're drafting, you've set down and they have to pattern match. But then there are going to be 3 potential-ish dice spots at the bottom of these cards that you're going to have to pull dice from the resource pile in order to match them. Color-wise, not necessarily always number-wise, but if you overcolor in that sense, where maybe you need a 3 yellow and you grab a 6 yellow, you get 3 of the spot tokens. You get the Sky Painter tiles by gathering the resources based off the combinations of those original tiles that you're making, and then you just go until someone meets the end victory conditions that I mentioned. You want some expert opinions down here, you can do that. $61 is what it's going to cost you, and It's a little bit expensive, but the stretch goals here are giving you just a wee bit more content from a real indie publisher. So, I mean, $10,000 is still $10,000. So give it a look, see if you're interested. Then Archywynd. I don't know what's going on here. It's an RPG. It says D&D sort of meets Exploding Kittens, if you will. So take that for what it is. You have one of 4 characters that you're taking part as, and you're doing solo player versus player or team versus team, and you just play cards. You're going to have to watch a video, though, again, on another campaign page this week to actually figure out how it plays, because all it says is scouting bonus to all initiative rolls, because some of these cards are going to make you roll Ds. And by Ds, I mean D20s. Some of these upgrades are going to happen. Some of the encounters that you're going to be having to deal with on a turn-by-turn basis based on the roll of a D20, good and bad. So a little bit of potential pure randomness there. Playing cards in some manner and then dying and be the last one standing is essentially how the game is played. 5 to 10 minutes, 20 to 40 minutes to play. Thousands of card combinations, endless replayability. So there maybe is an expansion coming in the spring, if you like that sort of thing. A couple of videos to tell you all about it. So too bad, too sad, too late for the super early bird for $21, but you can still get the regular early bird for $25. So I imagine that'll be out in a little while or so. Maybe not. Doesn't look like there's actually a cap on it. But maybe you can get it for $25 plus base shipping of $12. So light card game, about 100 cards and a bunch of tokens to go along with it. So Archywynd, check it out. There you go. That's the roundup this week. I got nothing fancy, nothing interesting. I'm working all weekend. I'm missing my kids' soccer games, the first games of the season. I'm kind of peeved at that, but there's nothing I can do. So I'm just hopeful that I don't have to work another weekend before now and the end of the season. So it's kind of 50-50 right now. So I'm not quite sure. Apart from that, I gotta have a few more videos out. I'm catching up on my reviews. Like I said, from this past week, we had Mass Effect and we had Keep the Heroes Out. So if you missed either one of those, you should check one of those out, because both of those are fantastic games. Cannot say enough good things about either one of them from a completely different, opposite perspective, except for the fact that they're actually both cooperative. I actually have a couple of copies of a couple of things upcoming as well. Couple things I'm allowed to tell you about, 1 or 2 that I'm not. So I was going to do a video here this coming week of like all the stuff that's been recently sent to me that I need to cover, and I just don't get around to it. So I need to actually get more Wild Gardens played right, and then get that review out with Nocturne again at some point, and maybe I'll do a 2-in-1, 3-in-1, 4-in-1, mini review in one. I don't know, whatever I'm going to do. It's just fun, and I like talking about board games, and have a great freaking weekend. Say I had nothing else to say, so thank you. Subscribe if you made it this far. I don't know how you made it this far and you're not subscribed. Peace out. 657 in the comments section down below.